friends, I'm Shamitria, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Math Talk with the Routing Math Teacher. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm sure is on many people's minds. I know some teachers have already gone back to school. Others are in the thick of preparing for the first days of school, but I want to talk to you about first day of school activities. I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook about this recently, teachers asking for different activities that they can do on the first day, especially if you're working virtually. So I wanted to just share a couple of ideas with you. So first, I think it's really important in these first days of school that we really work on building community. We do this in the classroom, and I think we do it so naturally that we tend to forget that that's how we spend the first days of school, is really building community and working on our rules and procedures. But doing it online looks a lot different. So we're really going to have to be intentional about how we build community online. And so one of the ways you can do that is through like SEL activities and just simple discussion activities. Remember, your goal for the first couple of days is really just to help your students get to know you and to help your students get to know each other. And so that really, if you're thinking about your objective, right, that's just it, for students to get to know and feel comfortable with the teacher and each other. So some different activities that you can do. And these are just going to be like really generic activities. You can certainly start kind of inserting content-based activities, but I would make them very, very low entry activities, meaning that there are things that all students would feel comfortable participating in, and not things that students may, start to pull back just a little bit because they're concerned that they don't have the knowledge level that some other students may have. One of my favorite things to do with students is to ask discussion questions and have students talk about those discussion questions in groups. And so recently I've seen a lot of would you rather questions online. I've been doing some research for some different types of community building activities, and I've seen a lot of would you rather questions. And I think that that's a fabulous way to have students be able to discuss. So things that are simple, right? We don't want anything that's too heavy. It could be something as simple as, would you rather have pizza or pasta? And then students can either you could use a virtual spinner and call on students to respond what they think. Again, this is like super low level. There's no real risk involved for students. And I think that's one thing that we really have to consider right now is the level of risk that students are going to feel like they're taking by chiming into these. So for the most part, that's a pretty easy question. So you could have students respond, if you're using a spinner, you could send them into breakout rooms literally for like 60 seconds and have them tell a partner whether they would rather have pizza or pasta, and maybe even say like, what's the best pizza or pasta that you've had? And then come back to the large group, and then you could do some virtual, use a virtual spinner to call on some students. That gives students an opportunity to kind of practice what they want to say before they have to say it in front of the group. That takes down the anxiety a bit instead of cold calling them. But I understand, if you're not using breakout rooms or you don't have an opportunity for students to do that, then this would be, another strategy. You could also, and I've seen this recently, I thought this was an interesting idea. You could have students type their response in the chat box. So they've had an opportunity to already give their response. And then you could call on some students. You could also have them either chat privately, and I say chat privately, I mean the chat, not like a video with someone privately, but you could have them maybe chat with someone privately where they write down their response, and maybe the other student, writes a comment back and then writes, what their thoughts are. So you could use that type of tool as well, where they're chatting privately with another student to share their response. Then if you're working asynchronously, which is, a whole nother challenge in itself to build community that way, but you can use video tools like Flipgrid to have students record their response, and then you can have other students then comment on those responses. So that's just a fun way to start building community in your classroom, because that is going to really be the foundation for anything else. And I mentioned using breakout rooms, and I know if you've seen some of my other videos or things that I've said about breakout rooms, I've mentioned not using breakout rooms too early. And I still agree with that. I think you could, start teasing the breakout rooms and getting students to be comfortable with them by using them for very short periods of time, like 60 seconds. But I would always give students a real structure for that. Like, I'm going to send you into breakout rooms in groups of 2. You're going to have 60 seconds. Partner A is the person with the longer name, and they're going to go first. Partner B, after partner A goes, I want you to give some kind of celebration like, that was awesome, or some type of celebratory response, and then partner B gets to share. There are all these little types of response tools. I'm having trouble remembering some of them right now, but there's a bunch of oh, I've totally lost it. I don't want to mess it up, but some of them are called gambits, and different little ways that students can respond. Like that was like great, 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 great. When they're doing like a cheese grater, that's one that I could remember. And they respond to students. So we want to just give students a structure. We want to help them learn how to use breakout rooms in a really non-threatening way. So using them for these types of discussion questions is a good way to help them do that. I also, there's another question I thought was really cool that I saw, and actually this one might have been one that I came up with on my own, but would you rather be lost in Hogwarts or in Jurassic Park? So just again, getting kids to kind of think outside of the box and think about some, different things and give their opinions, get them communicating and getting to know each other. If someone were to ask me that question, I know I would pick Hogwarts, I guess, but they're kind of equally like challenging places to be. So that would be a fun question to have kids respond to and to see what their thought process is behind what they selected. And it's a way to also get to know, the kids and what their favorite types of things are. So just as we're moving into the start of the school year, and some people may already be in the start of the school year, may have, even be in week 2, I would still encourage you to be doing these activities regularly. The first few days of school, we certainly want to be using more of them, but then you want to continue to use them regularly, either every week or every day, so that you can continue building the community in your classroom and getting to know your students. That's all for today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.